Hi, my name is Margaret and welcome to my artsy corner of the internet. I'm back at college, so I'm actually in a corner now. So recently, a little band called the BLACKPINK released a new song. They just released their new song, Pink Venom, and I did watch the music video. I had a great time. But I don't really have much like commentary on the music video because it's a lot about costumes and like atmosphere and the song, and I had a lot of like ooh, but I didn't really have anything like big brain to say about it. But then they posted their dance practice video, which right up my alley. So today we're gonna be watching the dance practice for Blackpink's Pink Venom. Let's go. Blackpink dance practice. Now we're ready. Oh wow, there's a lot of backup dancers. I was not expecting that. The fashion is always so good. Like, nobody actually looks like that in dance classes, right? Because I definitely don't. I look like this. This is a very straight line. Straight lines are actually really hard to do in like live performance. That one was clean. It's also a really like grounded dance. Even when they jump, it's very like in the ground, in the soil, in the earth. Okay. You know, she makes an air guitar look a lot cooler than I look when I do an air guitar. Got some whacking influence in there. All Blackpink songs have like the exact same energy. Like they know their thing and they bring it every time. They also feel like a very nice like comfort band because like you know what you're gonna get from them, you know? And it's good. Also, let me know if you guys like it better when we watch the whole thing and then go back, or if we should just like nix watching the whole thing and then just start with the analysis. I don't know which one you guys prefer. I think right off the back, something that I noticed about this piece is that it's really all about the hands and the hips. The whole specificity of the hands and like the gestures is very important. And I don't know, I might have mentioned this in the past, but it does seem like girl groups are a little bit more into the grounded gestural kind of things, and the boy groups are a little bit more into like the jumping like the, what is it, like calisthenics type movement. Completely lost my train of thought. She's gone somewhere else. I don't know her. Oh, hands. I love hands. I love hands. And the specificity of the fingers at the beginning, it's like, I don't know what the actual move is, but there's fingers, and it's not here, and it's not here, and it's not here, and it's not here. It's like the perfect like specificity of that, coupled with some nice use of the hips. We can talk more about the hips later. I do like how they're very much not pantomiming necessarily, because they're not like, you know, but they're very much hitting every single word with a gesture, which I think is fun. And I also think it works really well for like this style of dance, where a lot of the times the dance is emphasizing their music. Like obviously they're all dancers, but they're a music group, and so all K-pop dances really want to highlight the music. And so doing gestures that directly pair up with the words is a nice way to emphasize the music. And also I think we have to talk about the introduction of like TikTok. Like, TikTok has changed the music industry and the dance industry like a lot, for better or for worse. I mean, but TikTok has definitely changed a lot of things, and I think you can kind of see that some artists are purposely making choruses of songs that would do well on TikTok, or they're making choruses of music or making a dance challenge with their song so that their song has more potential of blowing up on the app, which is then great publicity and marketing. We've already started to see the shift, but I think we'll see it even more in the future, that a lot of dancers, musicians, you know, I think more musicians will start dancing at least a little bit and having like dances that go along with their songs. But also I think that we will see the dances take on a little bit more of like TikTok-esque style. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. And I definitely see how this with the more intricate hands, well, not even intricate hands, but more of an emphasis on the upper body instead of the lower body, that I think you can kind of see as an influence and is now becoming trendier to use the upper body. And I think part of that is because of social media and how that's shifting the game. Okay, two things. First of all, I think this piece is also really interesting because it's very accented and sharp. I don't know, I guess, if their other music has been similar or the other dances that they do are similar, but this one is definitely very sharp. There's almost every little gesture is accented, and then they have also like that contrasted, I don't know why I started saying that word, it's so weird, contrasted to a very like ooey gooey torso hip. But I am very interested that it's very ha 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 ha. That's actually not at all what the piece looks like, but it's very accented and sharp. Also, I believe that this is Jisoo. She has like a really, how do I explain this? It's like a very soft hit. Like she's hitting and accenting all the moves, but it's like somehow softer. I was talking about this in another video where I really love how people's personalities shine through in their dancing. I feel like this is one of those moments where she's hitting all of the sharp moves like everybody else, but it just looks slightly more like a fairy princess. And I feel like that's just a little bit of like her personality coming out in this specific movement. I did talk about it a little bit in the first watch through, but this is a very like grounded piece, and they have those like little jumps, like the ah 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 moments, and it's still so grounded. Like they're jumping, but if you just like if we went like this, you guys actually won't be able to see when I do this, but we don't go back. I'm moving too fast. But like if you like cover up their legs. Wait. Ready? Did you do it with me? I didn't explain what we were doing. Okay, if you watch the part where they're going ah 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 or whoa whoa whatever, I forgot the words. Anyway, if you like cover up the bottom half of their body, it doesn't even really look like they're jumping. Like it looks like they're just taking the steps like they did before. They're very grounded in it, which I also think that helps convey the attitude of the dance. You could do this dance all of the exact same movements, but have an emphasis of like bouncing and being up, and it would look like a completely different dance. And I think that having that very like grounded, like pelvis is weighted towards the floor, I think that allows the dance to be a little bit more readable, especially with all of like the gestures. When they're so grounded, it's easier to pay attention to the smaller intricate hand movements and the accents because the rest of it is weighted, so the things that come out of that are more noticeable. I think that part is also really interesting because I obviously, you know, they're singing when they do this, and so right now they're like lip syncing, practicing. But I like how almost like the facial expressions and like the expression of singing can sometimes be dancing as well. That's a weird thought to think about because like dancing is like the movement of the body rhythmically through time and space, or some other textbook definition that we can come up with. So I guess technically the process of moving your mouth to create words is the process of speaking or singing, but it could also technically be dancing because you're moving your body in not necessarily a purely aesthetic way. It's more of the function of speaking, but it is moving. So technically, we could call that its own little genre of dancing. There's a contemporary choreographer, Michaela Taylor. She has a really interesting contemporary, like concert contemporary dance style that she's created for herself and her company. And one of the things that she does a lot is like use the face. And it's not just like, like I was taught in competition dance. It's like very like contort your face into weird things, but that's part of her technique. And so I don't know, I think it's an interesting concept. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. Do you think that's actually dance? I don't know. That is one of those things where you have like a whole like, what is that, vertical? Yeah, vertical line of people, and all of their hands come out at different angles. That is something that like, it's not original, okay? We've all seen it before, but it doesn't matter how many times I see it done. Every time, I love it. I think I literally, yes, I've talked about this before. We did like a BTS video, and I started talking about Crystal Pite did spring something and it's a contemporary dance piece and there's people in a line just like that doing arms. It's been done so many times, but it doesn't matter because every time somebody does it, I get so happy because it looks so cool. I don't know if this is like a real musical concept, but sometimes dancers will talk about polyrhythms, which is that a real musical concept? I'm not quite sure. But it's basically like the idea is, we had a music teacher who tried to have us play triplets with one hand and eighth notes with another hand. And it's really weird trying to like play like a 3-count beat and then like, yeah, like different time signatures in different hands. Very strange. But there's like this similar concept kind of in dance when like one of your what am I saying? One of your body parts is doing one tempo and then the other body part is doing like a different tempo. When I was younger, we had some dance combination where like you like shake this hand and then you like pet this hand and you just like walk around and then your feet were doing like a 3-step or something. And it was like, how do you, very much one of these things. And I think that's one thing that we overlook so often, or at least I personally overlook, like when I'm watching other people dance, especially more in like the hip hop styles, but like they're keeping tempo like with their hips and then their hands are doing a completely different rhythm, and just something to look out for, because like if you ever try to do it and you're like, why is this so funky? That's probably why, because you're doing different rhythms with different parts of your body, and that is very difficult. If you do have problems with that, like if you're trying to learn something and your hips are going 1, 2, 3, 4, but then your hands are going like 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... One of the things that I like to kind of do is, instead of just trying to like jump in and just like do them together, is I like to essentially like line them up so that I know, you know, if I'm doing something very flowy up here, but my hips are 1, 2, 3, 4, I like to know that I'm like, okay, I'm here on the 1 and then this is on the 2. So now I know hip 1, hip 2, and kind of like syncing them up. I think it's actually a concept I learned from piano, or if like you're playing with your right hand and your left hand, you can kind of like, what my teacher used to do is like use a highlighter and literally like highlight over the 2 notes so that I knew that like my right hand was playing an A and my left hand was playing a B at the same time. And then I know that then I play with my right hand 3 more notes and then my right and the left hand go at the same time again. So kind of syncing up the 2 different non-connected thoughts so that they feel more connected. So yeah, that's a little dance tip if it's helpful. I like that part. It's so simple yet so complex yet so satisfying. I really like that part. I've already talked about how I like all of like the hands or whatever, that nice little triangle, and then all of their hands come out and you can see like literally everybody. It's just so, it's so nice. Like, why does that look so good? Why does that itch something in my head? One of the things I haven't really talked about yet is the amount of formation changes is insane. I'm choreographing a piece right now with 10 people and I like just like look at them and I'm like, go somewhere in the room? I don't know. The formations and how effortlessly they are jumping up is crazy. And then all of a sudden you just have this moment and all of a sudden they're in 2 lines and they're walking down, and then the next minute, you know, and obviously the backup dancers kind of blend in because they're wearing all black and then they're on like a black background. It's interesting how it's choreographed because you don't notice the backup dancers until you're supposed to notice them, and then you're like, oh, they're there. And then you kind of like lose them and then it's like there. That's also with help of like the camera zooming in and out. But I think also kind of in that same way, it's also really impressive how they're like helping to hide the transitions. It's so smooth how you focus on one person and then the other people kind of like hide behind, and then they pop out when they're supposed to, and these 2 people come forward so these people can hide away so that they can have their like other entrance. And it gives this really nice sense of like sometimes the beginning of pieces are always way more interesting because it's like your first entrance as this person on stage, or the first entrance in this piece on stage. And so the audience is like, oh, there's somebody new on stage. But it almost feels like this entire piece is made up of like re-entrances. Like every moment is like and now they're here, and now they're here. And it like creates this intrigue throughout the entire dance that's like, oh, they're back. Oh, and now they're gone, and I'm looking over here, and I forgot that you were over there. So it's like they're entering the stage for the first time. It's like we're seeing them new over and over again. See, like they're all behind and then they just go bloop right when they need to. This is like a basic whacking roll. I think my elbow should actually be up a little bit higher. Anyway, whacking whacking is a style that was developed in the nightclubs in the 70s, I want to say. It's a very fun style, and I think it's one of those styles where when you see somebody who is like a whacker, like that is their thing, you're like, because it is kind of like a specialty skill, kind of like when you see somebody who's like a really good like tutter, like or like voguer, you're like, whoa. But I feel like all kind of three of those styles are styles that more mainstream choreographers will kind of go in and like grab a couple little moves from them to add a really cool flair to a more, or just to a different style. And so you'll see a lot of like these whacking rolls added into different choreographies to give it like a little bit of like spice, because it looks super cool. I've taken a couple like whacking classes, and they're really all about musicality, which I think also makes a lot of sense because I feel like K-pop, as we were kind of talking about, their dances are there to like emphasize their song, and so the use of whacking and K-pop, they kind of have that like intense musicality as a shared similarity. K-pop has a great understanding of like motifs, and like motifs are basically like a single move, like they have their little things, and you bring them back like periodically throughout the piece to kind of create something that the audience can be like, oh, I've seen that before, and kind of make like a through line. And I think that K-pop does a great job at having these motifs and using them, so I'm like, yeah, it's this part again, but I never get bored, and I'm like, it's this part again. And thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and me. And yeah, comment down below. I'd love to talk with you guys about the video. And I think that's it for today. So I hope to see you guys again soon, and bye.